name is Marcus and welcome to Tabletop Discussions, where today it is all about board game series. I want to give you 3 examples of board game series, what my thoughts are on those, and then have a quick overall cap of what do I think of board games in a series. But first, let's make 2 things clear. So the first thing is, expansions are not part of a series. Those are expansions to games to make them better. If they're part of a series, they sort of is a game for themselves completely that, you know, connects in some way to the original game. And I don't count second editions or third editions or fourth editions or whatever, because those are the same game changed up a little bit. So those are the rules I get out of the way. Let me talk about the first series I want to talk about, and I believe it is in camera shot right here. Ticket to Ride. So for this one, of course, the map collections don't count because those are technically expansions for the game. But what do I have? We have these 4 big box games, these 4 small box games, and then the card game. Now, what ties these together is a system. Ticket to Ride, right? The system of getting some tickets and trying to match colors to create lines between the destinations on your tickets to complete as many tickets as possible. That is the entire purpose of it. These ones and of these ones. You can say these are connected together, that it is train routes around, but unfortunately that means these are out of that, but I do count them on the series. You can simply say this is the small box series, and what ties them together is that they're in cities. Yeah. So what really ties Ticket to Ride together here is this: you are creating routes of some kind of public transport between destinations, which is your tickets. So this is sort of a mechanical tie-in to create a series. And Ticket to Ride is, to me, an amazing series. One of my favorite board games. I have almost 3 entire Calyx units, shelves, whatever, with these games. I'm not missing many of the games. I believe I'm missing map collection 6 and 6.5 in Poland. And I'm of course lagging Germany. And Northern Lights, the new one, and if there's a legacy one coming. I don't know if I want that one because I don't like legacy game, but it is still Ticket to Ride. So it is absolutely one of my favorite series, and what is great about this series is the mechanical tie-in, right? So perhaps you like the story of the game, but this has the mechanical tie-in, so you know you're going to like the game because it plays the same. I like all these games just fine. I mean, some of them a little bit less. Japan Rails and Sales I like a little bit less, but overall I like all the games. They are in my collection. They're going to stay in my collection, and that is what I like about a mechanical tie-in of games. Is the fact that you know you're going to like them because they basically play the same. Now the card game is a bit of an outlier because you have these often. There's a roll and write version, a dice game version, you know, sort of the same thing, a card game version. These things, and they are going to change up the game significantly because Ticket to Ride is obviously played on this big map where you place down meeples with a few different moving parts. How are you going to sum that up with just using cards? You can't really change it up, but you are still completing tickets. It's not on a route on a map, but you get tickets and you're completing them. So that ticket that lives on, that is the mechanical thing that lives on, is just changed up because it's a card game. Now, to me, making a dice game or a card game or a dual player, you know, 2-player version of a game, that is always going to be a risk because you are going to have to change up the mechanicals of it. If you have made sort of a story-driven or thematic-driven, whatever series, I'll talk about that in just a second, it may be not as dangerous, but for a game like Ticket to Ride, where you have made a mechanical series, right, a series based on the mechanics of the game, then it is difficult to change up that much. Because these games, they all do a little bit different of the mechanics, but not too much. So it's difficult with the card game up here. I think they did the card game very brilliantly. It's a great game. Let's see if there's I believe there's a dice game also, and there's a sort of a different kind of game, but I want to get a hold of those and play them. But the card game was done very well, I think. But this is a mechanical series, right? A series based on the mechanics of a game, and to me that is probably the safest option because you know people like the first game, they're going to like the next few games because they are mechanically very similar, but with enough changes. You have to put in enough changes for people to want to buy all of them. Some of these I think fail on that, some of them don't. Honestly, I think these big box games here, Take to Ride Nordic Countries and Take to Ride Europe, they fail on making enough of a difference. If I didn't love Take to Ride as much as I do, and you said to me, here are these 3 games, I would say just buy Europe. If you only can afford one game, just buy Europe. Rails and Still changes it up a lot, maybe even too much. Small box games, again, you can have one of them, right? Have Europe, have one of the small box games. New York is probably my favorite, but they're again very, very similar. They don't change it up very much. It's just a small box game. And that's sort of also the risk of mechanical ones. You have to have someone like me who's freaking crazy and love your game to really sell the copies. Other people just don't do it. But at the same time, as a European, Europe is the first one I'm introduced to. It's the first one I know. I live in Denmark. It's part of the Nordic countries. That's the brilliance of it. Then you have the expansions. I think most of them are well worth it to buy them. You get, most of them, this one, and this one, you get 2 maps. You only have these 2, you get 1 map. They're well worth to buy, I think, if you know 1 or 2 of them. I would say United Kingdom and Pennsylvania is my favorite, just to add, but that's expansion territory. In this series, mechanical game works very well if you love them, but it is dangerous if people don't love them too much. Right. The next kind of series I've sort of touched upon it a little bit is sort of a story-driven connection, which I'm gonna have to bring out. 2 of the games down here. I don't have all of the games. What I have here is Viscounts of the West Kingdom and Paladins of the West Kingdom. And I'm calling these ones story-driven because the way I was introduced to them is... Why did I choose West Kingdom? Rise of the North Sea. Another trilogy. You have shipwrights, you're building the ships. You have explorers, you're exploring the sea. And you have raiders, you're raiding new villages along the coast. Sort of the story-driven. Viscounts and Paladins and Architects, it's sort of... You discover the kingdom, you're building the kingdom, you're expanding the kingdom, something along those lines. I haven't heard what South Tigris, what they are yet, but you can sort of call this a story-driven game connection. You can also call Twilight Imperium. I have Rex, and then I have Twilight Imperium here, and you also have Inscription. What you can say there is Twilight Imperium Rex is the final days of an empire. Sort of tells you what it is. Megatol Rex is falling, succumbing to greed. And Twilight Imperium, that's what happened in Megatol Rex. Twilight Imperium picks up after that. Megatol Rex has fallen. Now it goes from a planet to a universe-wide war for power. That's here. You can sort of say Twilight Inscription perhaps is the second war of the galaxy, right? Galaxy War 2. That's a play on World War 2. I don't know what else you would think, but so you can say that is story-driven. This is also sort of story-driven. There's even made Rune something, and something for the West Kingdom as well, tied in as a story game. But you probably see this most in the legacy games. Pandemic, Legacy Season 0, 1, 2. It is story-driven. It is a story. You want to play them all the way through. You see what happens to the characters. That is a legacy game. I don't personally like legacy games because there sort of is one play. You ruin some of the card. You change it up a lot. I don't really like that. If you do, that's super awesome. But that is story driven, of course. But this is the Shipwrights and Explorers and the North Sea, the West Kingdom, and the South Tigris trilogies are the best ones I can come up with in terms of story driven that I have on hand, unfortunately. But they're very much story driven games because you sort of build the ships, explore the ships, raid with the ships. You can sort of say that it's all about the ships and Viking culture. And West Kingdom, again, you have everything to do with this kingdom. I can't fully remember what people said. Then you have Wayfarers and Scholars, and I can't remember what the last one is. But Wayfarers, you're finding your way through the South Tigris, you're discovering the South Tigris. Scholars of the South Tigris, you can see that in 2 ways. You're either learning about the South Tigris, or you are sort of bringing your teachings into the South Tigris. I need to get the hold of the games before I fully understand that. But it's sort of a story-driven one. And what is the advantage of this one? Well, the advantage is people want to have all the games, right? If I ever were to buy a Legacy, Pandemic Legacy, and I would start at 0, and I would want to go 1, 2 to get the entire story out. Some people would probably say go 1, 2, and then 0, because 0 is a sort of a prequel to the other ones. I would start at 0. That's just me personally. And what you can see there is you want to play all the games, right? I have Shipwrights here only. I want to get all the Explorers. I want to get all the Raiders. I want those games because I want to explore that story. You know, I want to build my ships and explore with my ships and raid with my ships. And the Paladins, the West Kingdom one, I want to build my kingdom. I want to expand my kingdom. I really want to control my kingdom. You know, it's cool little in one. What the challenges is. Well, the bad thing is of course, if you want to do really well story-driven one, you gotta go Legacy. But that's gonna put someone like me off immediately. I hate the idea of Legacy. I really do. There's some people who love it and want to play a lot of them. I want to play a lot. That's super fine. I just really hate the idea of Legacy. And of course, if you do this, you're not getting a lot of a story. You're getting some of a story. If you play all 3 games, maybe you have the Rune Saga, that was what it was called, expansion. You are getting sort of that story. But there is no characters, you know, you're just a game, players around it. You can, you know, go in and say, you know, maybe you distribute 1 or 2 people and explorers immediately to your ships and stuff, because you had those in Shipwrights. Sort of try to do that, to start off that way. But hey, you get the story, you don't get the idea of the story, but you don't get a story. You know, you don't know what happens to Ragnar. You know, it's not Vikings. So that's the challenge of story-driven games. And I mean, I don't think I would buy North Sea, the entire trilogy, just because of the story. I want to buy them because I want to play the games, because I like the other games. I do like Vikings, Paladins, and even Shipwrights, even though most people don't like that game. I do like it. And to me, that's sort of, what do I want to say? It's not, you know, that's more because I just want to play the games from the company, not because of the story-driven one. So I think the story-driven one is difficult to make. But if you just go Legacy, it would be way easier. I also have, it's not a series, but I have Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr down here somewhere. It's pointing towards, right towards, but I don't want to bring it out. But I do have that one that is a story-driven game. Could you maybe make a prequel about him, or a sequel to, you know, his family uniting or something? Perhaps. But the entire thing is, we're a bit through Billy Kerr. I think we need to play it till the end very soon. I don't think I want to play it again. It is not mechanically sound enough, and the story is good, but I don't need to explore the story that many times in a row. You know, that's the issue with that kind of game. You can play it again, but do you want to? Because it's a story. So yeah, story-driven games series is not the best series in the world to make, and you know, be careful with that one. That is story-driven. Now, I could bring those back up for the last one, the last kind of series, thematic series. What I'm bringing out again from the bottom shelf. Get in here. Here. Bringing in Solani and The Girl Who Made the Stars. This is number 1 and 2 in Pillars of Creation series, and they share the thematic sense of creation stories, right? They are stories of creation and games based on them. I also have Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island. They sort of share this dinosaur park and are made by the same company and stuff. So what is difficult with these thematic ones is to know if they're really a tie-in. Because I also have Tiny Epic Dinosaurs over here, because that's also about having a dinosaur park and making a dinosaur park. So are they in a series of Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island? So for these thematic series, I think you need to look at designers, at companies, and at if they actually numbered it, because these guys have actually numbered 1, 2. So that is difficult to sort of say that those are part of a series. These obviously are, I would say, Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island, because they are from the same company, with same style of artwork. I don't know if they've made like the same designer. I can't really see the design of Dinosaur World. I don't want to bring it down. But that's a thematic game, and I think it's the most difficult one to sort of say these are part of a series. But to me, perhaps it is my favorite kind of series because I love theme. I'm all for theme. I want really good theme. So something like this, creation stories, that's awesome to me because that is an awesome theme multiple series. I want to play it. You know, and Creature Comforts, it has a sequel called Maple Valley coming out. Same theme, they sort of same setting. I don't think it's going to be mechanically the same. There's not a story. This is a thematic tie-in of the games, location tie-in sort of. You can perhaps say that as a fourth kind, you know, a location tie-in. These are games in the same location, but I would say that they are probably just thematic tie-ins like Creature Comfort and Maple Valley. They sort of have the same theme. I love Creature Comforts, so when Maple Valley was out, I was like, yes, I'm buying that one, of course. No questions about it. And when the third and fourth game in the series is finally out, they've talked about 2023, but I can't find a trace of it. I'm probably also going to buy that one because I love the theme, I love the games. And what I like the most, but also what can be. And remember that the biggest threat for thematic tie-ins is a mechanical tie-in has to play the same. Story one has to sort of have the same story and stuff. Thematic tie-ins is the same theme. That is it. You can really change it up. I sort of think that's with the entire medieval series from Garfield Games. You have North Sea, West Kingdom, South Tigris. They are all very different. The West Kingdom trilogy is my very much worker placement. The North Sea trilogy I've heard is there's also some worker placement, but I think it's more hand management sort of what I've heard. And of course, South Tigris is going to have a focus on dice games, is what they say. Then you have the East something, I hope. What's it called? And what you have there is a possibility of exploring different mechanics within this setting to tie all the games in through sort of a story, sort of just a thematic tie-in, and then you can put in, I think they call it the medieval trilogies, right? And then you just can use different mechanics. That's also sort of what has happened in Solani and They're Going to Make the Stars. A bit of different mechanics. Sort of similar, but they are quite different as well in the way they play and use the mechanics. That is both the best and the worst thing about thematic games, because you can explore that, you can get very different games, very different experiences, but on the other hand you can get very different games, very different experiences, right? I love Pseudo-Redo, that's my favorite game. It has the sequel, Acquaredo, that is a mechanical series. I love both of those games, they are my favorite games in the world. I think Solani and The Girl Who Made the Stars, they're very close together, they've gotten very close together, these games in the field. Shipwrights, Viscounts and Paladins have quite a spread for me. And if you look at Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island, they're also quite a bit spread for me. Even though they're sort of thematically the same, you know, the thematic in there, they can have a very big spread because of the different mechanics. So you can be lucky, like I am with Solani and Go Make the Stars, they're very close. You can sort of be unlucky like with the West Kingdom games, Shipwrights games, North Sea games. Quite a decent split. Trying to think, do I have other thematic tie-in games? Don't really. I'm looking around here. I don't really have a lot of games that have like thematically in a series actually. I guess this is because I spend most of my time on Ticket to Ride or on different games. But I am a thematic gamer, and I love to have games with the same theme. I mean, animal, sort of animal, farm, so that's sort of animals. That is a vineyard, so that's not animal. Flamecraft the Dragon, sort of animal. Dinosaur World, there's dinosaurs, animals. I love animals, so I'm a thematic gamer, I would say. But anyways, let's look at 3 different series. So overall, what do you think of board game series? I hope I've expressed my thought. I think the thematic one is the most difficult one to put my thoughts on, because I love theme, I love to have the same theme. But I also love to have the same mechanics. So thematic and mechanical tie-in games are going to rank quite highly. My love for Super Rocket is gonna lie. If I ever become a big YouTuber, that's gonna be my selling point. People, I have to make like a Super Rocket shirt or something if I ever become like big and famous. So if you want that, subscribe. But overall, board game series. What do you think? Well, I don't mind them. I don't think I can say anything bad about board game series with my collection of ticket rights. Honestly, as I say with maybe Valley, of the Sci-Fi games, when they were on Kickstarter, immediately back from me. Immediately backed them. But at the same time, Evolution, New Worlds or whatever, when that was on the Kickstarter, after I'd received the other one, played the other one, didn't like it, immediately discounted that new one and sold my other copy and stuff. But immediately discounted it because of the series. So I think that's sort of the thread, but also the very cool thing about this is if you can create a series, whether it be story, thematic tie-in, or mechanical tie-in, which mechanically I think is the biggest sell, right? If they tried, Peloton Metal is gonna be wild. I know it already. So right as I say, Keystone North America, they sort of, you know, that North America tagline, sort of hinting towards something. I mean, Catan and Carcassonne are living off of mechanical games in their series. Well, Catan is most expansions, but Carcassonne living off of mechanical games, of the mechanical series. So I think that's the easiest one, because when you buy a Ticket to Ride, I know I'm going to like it because it's Ticket to Ride. I just want to see the difference of it. But at the same time, that's also, it's also free. Anyways, what do I think of series as a whole? That's what I'm on. I like board game series. I like the fact that you can have a story-driven series or whatever. Games that tie into each other. It's both an excuse to keep more games, but I like series because that creates a trust into the game. Right, as I say, I love Creature Comfort, so I trust Maple Valley. Even though I think it's just a thematic tie-in game, I trust it to be good. I have backed the South Tigris one to get both Scholars and Wayfarers because it sort of is a thematic touch into these games that I really like. I buy a Ticket to Ride game immediately because I know I'm going to like it. And that's why I really like series, is because I trust it more. When it comes into this series, I trust it more because I have the other games in this series. It belongs to this series. I already love this series. This is going to be good. I just know it. So I like series, but at the same time I don't want to get too caught up in series. I still want standalone games, sort of like Meadow, which is right here, or Wingspan, or Viticulture, or Everdell, Everdell's becoming a series now. There's My Little Everdell, and there's Far Shore. So that's becoming a little bit of a series now as well, which is a thematic series more, but I've also heard it's very mechanical. The same. Well, anyways, or distilled over here or something. I still want to get a hold of these individual games outside of series, but series are great because you can trust that the new game is going to be good because of the old games. And you might be disappointed, maybe the third series of Pillars of Creation series is going to be terrible. Maybe Wayfarers and Scholars are going to be terrible. They're not. Maybe the next Ticket to Ride is going to change something or be absolutely horrendous. But the fact of the matter is, I'm going to trust it to be good. And that's the good thing about a series. Of course, also the thread is you immediately know you don't like it. So yeah, that's just a little bit of how I make a series, my thoughts on series. Should we take a quick of other editions of games? That's fine. Something like Twilight Imperium, it was out in the 80s or something. It's 40 years old. I guess a 5th edition is going to be out at some point, but it's a good way of innovating a game and getting it into the new era of these new editions of games, right? It's 3rd edition I have there. 1st edition, War of the Ring down there. I don't know if this shipwrights of North Shift or something about a 2nd edition. I don't know what edition I have here. I guess it would say on it if it was 2nd edition. It doesn't matter. They're getting a Redux again. And the entire point of the Redux of Shipwrights is to make it better than it was. And that's why I like editions of games, right? The 2nd, 3rd. Maybe it fails. Like I heard it somewhere, I think it's Fury of Dracula, which it has an edition and the later edition is worse than the current edition or something. And that can of course happen. But I just quickly threw the different editions in there. They're a good idea. They are a good idea. Let me just enunciate to do second edition when there's been enough time. I think Twilight Imperium got its second edition after like 4 or 5 years, as far as I remember, and then third edition was a bit longer. I think it was more than 10, 11 years, which is more appropriate. Like I don't think you should make a second edition for a game that is younger than 10 years. Let your design work for at least 10 years. I don't even know about War of the Ring, how long it went, but I think it went about that. Didn't second edition come out in like 11 and that one in like 3 or 4? So about, you know, a little bit early. But anyways, that's my thoughts on board game series and stuff. It was quickly done. I tried to keep it focused. I think I failed. I think I need to write a script next time. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!